Hello guys, I'm Fizzy and welcome to round 10 of Season 4 in the AOR GT3 Elite League on the PC version of Project Cars. As you will know if you've been following this series, it has been quite a while since our previous upload from this league, and I'll try to explain the delay quite briefly. So basically, round 9 of the season that took place at Silverstone was not streamed live as per usual, due to me being away attending to other matters. So the intention was for Yorkie to record that race with no commentary, which he did, and then he was meant to upload that for us to commentate on later. But unfortunately he's been quite busy as well and haven't had time to get that sorted. So at this point, with the Season 5 now very soon around the corner, I thought it was about time to get this final race of Season 4 up on the channel, despite the lack of footage from round 9. But what I can say briefly about that race, which took place in changeable conditions at Silverstone, was that F1 Masa, in classic F1 Masa style, dominated the race, won it by 29 seconds over second place, and with that he clinched the championship title for this season, his third GT3 Elite Championship in a row, going into the final race with a 70-point gap to second place TonyR in the standings, which cannot obviously be closed. Worth pointing out as well that Nesterovic and Jellyfish were the two other men on the podium at Silverstone, both of them getting their first ever podiums in the league. So we'll have a quick look at the driver standings going into this final race then. And as mentioned, Mouse has clinched the championship, but battle for second place still on with TonyR, only 14 points ahead of Kaki, who we know can be fast on his day. Then we have a Brownski in 4th position, who is also 14 points ahead of his next challenger, Nesterovic, with a further 7 points down to Mini Black. And then, quite interestingly, Papan sitting in 7th place, but missing this final race, meaning that the likes of Dinda S, Tipple and Jellyfish had a good opportunity to all jump him in the standings with a solid points finish here today. So quickly, before we jump into the actual racing for this final race at Road America, let's have a peek as well at the quali order and how they'll be starting for this race. So Kaki took that pole position, nearly 6/10 of a second ahead of second place Mini Black. And then interestingly to note as well, two debutants for this final race in the league. P. Grunstrup there in 3rd place on his debut, and then his Dutch pal E. Klaasens down in 10th as well. So those two also impressing in qualifying, and you can see the rest of the order on your screen. One thing that must be pointed out is the reason Masa, Nos, the Wizard of Nos and TonyR are all down at the bottom. And that is that ahead of this final race, the verdict for the Stooge investigation regarding track limits at a Spa round 7 finally got completed, and those 3 drivers were among those being penalised and were deemed to have cut or extended to the extent in that race that they deserved a quali ban to be applied for this season finale. But with that said, it's time to get the show on the road and hand you over to the live coverage with myself and Yorkie.
Okay,
Right,
I'm lined
go
up.
when you
Good.
want. Yep.
Okay. Drivers, prepare for the start sequence. Red, 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 green.
So we are underway for the start here, but my camera was messing up. The same as you were on the grid, but which you were clearly not. But we are on the way now, I think. Kaki
That's
in
a big
the
crash
lead.
at the back.
I could hear it, I couldn't see it though from my camera angle. We got Bentley 1, 2, 3 through turn 1. One of them has spun off actually. One of the Bentleys off the track there. That would have been Dinda, because Mini Black is still in 2nd, so Dinda's gone off the track. And behind him, Ycoms in 3rd in the Mercedes. See, ooh, very close action in the midfield. Let's see who that was. Jellyfish, I think, with a BMW M3 behind him. What is going on?
Breaking news, TonyR is out of the race. He's lost a tyre at the exit of turn 1.
That
Just
is
also
not
lost
ideal.
a tyre as well. Hipple's down at the back. There's been quite a big shunt at the back, and TonyR seems to be out of this race, which looks like he is going to lose out on 2nd position in this championship.
That is heartbreaking for him in the final race. Big shame, as we saw the Cadillacs there battling into the hairpin, I guess you can call it, with Pedro being passed by Andrex. Let's move closer to the front again to see what's going on. Big gap ahead of Klaasens, the new boy, who has gained a couple of positions there off his starting position in 10th. He's up in 8th right now, with a big gap up to Martin van der Bent in 7th, right behind Maisie and Nesterovic. Going through this very tricky corner. Oh, did I see? Oh, is that car sliding about? Oh, I think that's just lag, because he's driving very nice lines, but his car is sideways. So clearly
He's
something not quite right there with Kaki's car. But at least for him it seems fine, and he's still leading the race. Mini Black is second, Ycoms third, Brownski following him. As well as the camera wants to show him in the front bumper instead of the action. So Yorkie, I mean, big shame about the start incidents towards the back there, but most of the field, I guess we can say, seems to have gotten through without too much drama.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what exactly happened, but we could hear the contact on the start-finish grid, and then I was watching, oh god, as Andrax goes up the inside of, who was that, Gonstro, who's also now got Centro for very close company. A couple of guys pulling off into the pit lane. It looks like Centro's got a little bit of a run here at Andrex coming down, as it's 4 of them, 2 by 2, coming down the start finish straight down towards turn 1. It looks like the Bentley of Dindo is trying to get involved here as well, see if he can potentially slip himself up into 10th position by going around the outside into turn 1. He doesn't look like he's quite going to be able to make the move as Andrex gets very close to the rear bumper of that Bentley as they come on the run down towards turn 2. Andrex looking down the inside now, see if he can gain and retake a position, as he's just lost 2 down the start finish straight. He's got his teammate Pedro for close company behind, but now Dinder's looking at Slipstream and the rear bumper of Centro in front of him going to the outside into the next turn, turn 3. Very heavy braking zone, but it looks like he may just be able to eke a car length or 2 in front before they get to this turn, giving each other just about enough room there on the inside as they go side by side through that turn. But Dinder pulled off a very nice move around the outside there to come and take 10th position. But yes, sorry, as we were saying, I'm not entirely sure what happened to Tony coming out the first turn. We heard the contact on the start-finish straight, and then it looked like someone got caught up with someone else, and I think Tony might have just been an innocent bystander and all of that, and just had nowhere to go. And next thing I knew, there was two Aston Martins parked at the side of the track. One of them without a front right tyre, and that unfortunate person was Tony. So real shame for him.
Big crash! In the final few corners, I saw rough off the track there. What has happened to Nesterovic? Has gone completely into the wall there. He's rejoining now. Behind Ginger and behind Centro. Trying to find him. He's in 11th position with no momentum at all going through the final corners, but he's just about stayed ahead of the Cadillacs there. So wow, I didn't quite see what happened there, but there seems to be an incident with whoever was in 6th, potentially Maisie, because he's now in 5th. And Nesterovic definitely has damage because he's going straight into the pit lane now. And just to point out, guys, that the cameras, I'm having the spa bug again, where the camera on the pit straight is just completely messed up. So whenever the car's going down the pit straight, I cannot watch them, it seems. Unfortunately, it just shows me a pile of grass. But I guess we can
hop on boards.
Yeah,
that could be a solution.
Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. But yeah, worth pointing out the 2 new boys have had a nightmare start, actually. We mentioned Claessens on the first lap, gained a few positions, but he's now down in 15th. I would guess he's been through the pit lane. Same with Perry Gronstrow, started P3, I believe. He's down in 16th right now. So a big shame for those guys in the first few laps, but at least they're still running and got just 27 laps to try and regain whatever they can. Of course, 16 drivers score points in the race, so they're still within that one at least. And worth pointing out, of course, as well, that our championship winner, F1 Masa, is also one of the guys who's out of the race.
Yeah, just seeing that in the chat as well. He's saying that Tony and Nostra got tangled up with each other and they went straight in. Basically, Massa had nowhere to go and went into the front as well. So that's 2 Aston Martins of the TAJ WMS racing team out of this race. Jellyfish is the only remaining driver of those 3. He is currently in 7th position, looking relatively lonely, I might add, as well. He's got a big gap behind him and quite a big gap in front as well. So yeah, running in plenty of clear air at the moment. It seems like the top guys are starting to spread out. Martin van der Bent is currently holding 6th position, trying to chase down Maisie just in front of him, but that is definitely not the start that we want to see for a number of the drivers, and I imagine a number of them absolutely gutted about that as well.
Yeah, of course. Final chance of the season to kind of have a good race, and for some of them it's not exactly been that, I guess is fair to say. All the 3 drivers with a quali ban at the back of the grid, Nostra, Massa and TonyR, all of them are the race. Nostra still in the server, but he seems to be in the pit because he says he's still on lap 1. So yeah. And Kaki is still well out in the lead, but still going sideways on my screen. But he's doing a good job. It's pretty funny. It's literally drifting down the straight. It's hilarious. But,
that's what happened for me in Spa. He's fine for me. He's going in a straight line and taking the corner in a normal, appropriate manner.
Yeah, I'll leave him to his drifting extravagancies. But the guys, though, from 2nd down to 4th, not too far apart actually. We got Mini Black a few seconds ahead of Ycoms, who is very, very close to Brownski behind him. Brownski trying to put the pressure on with that BMW Z4. I don't know from experience that it can be very, very hard to pass around here with the Z4. I experienced that back in Season 2 when I was driving it. It's not the best on the straight, and especially when you're battling the Mercedes, which usually is quite good on the straight. It's going to be hard, but Brownski, of course, all he can do really is to keep the pressure on. And that, of course, increases the chances of Ycoms maybe making a mistake and opening the door for him somewhere. And yeah, Ycoms in another battle for the podium then. He did, of course, get his first ever podium in the league a couple of races ago at Zhuhai in the night, when he pulled off a very, very impressive drive. And he seems to be on course for another one here, okay?
Yeah, he had a big good result turning himself around. He had a little bit of a slow start to the season, I think. But this latter half of the season, he's certainly turned up the speed on his Mercedes. He's somehow managed to hook that up and is now towards the sharp end of the field, which is quite nice. It's interesting to see that Brownski is relatively close to the back of him, so it'll be interesting to see how this battle develops over the duration of the race. Just going back to Maisie, who's coming up over towards the start-finish line now. Martin van der Bent not too far behind, and then, like we said, Jellyfish a little bit of space, and it looks like Dinder is closing down on Jellyfish in 8th position at the moment in his Bentley. Obviously that'll have quite a lot of speed at this circuit. AJ in 9th, not doing too bad. He's got Centro for pretty close company behind us. Yep. Centro's now actually looking for a move down the inside, coming into the first turn. Will each other give each other room? Sorry, my words horribly mixed up there. But Centro not quite able to pull off a move and is slotted back down into 10th place. I'm actually wondering what kind of setup AJ is running, because he ran a very heavily downforce focused setup in Silverstone, which was great for the wet, and he was doing really, really well in that. But as soon as it came to the dry, he just had no speed compared to the other people, and it seems like it's a fairly similar situation here. As Centro is trying to poke his nose up the inside of AJ giving him room, but Centro not quite able to capitalise on that available space and try and make a move stick. But yeah, it just looks like AJ's a little bit slower in that M3 down the straights, and the Z4 Centro at the moment able to really pick up the slipstream and close that gap back up.
Yep, and I think while those two guys have been battling, Centro could not pull the move off, but his teammate Hipple, a couple of positions back, has passed Andrex for 12th position, so getting himself another couple of points there.
But yeah, Mini Black's second fastest driver on the track, currently holding second.
Oh, side by side. Centro and oh no shit, AJ side by side out of turn number 2 and down towards a very heavy braking zone of turn 3. That's going to be very interesting. And wow, the Z4 actually pulling ahead a little bit down the straight. Wouldn't have expected that, but I guess the M3 also isn't the best on the straight line. And yes, Centro getting that position back, but it's going to have to give room on AJ, and he does it very well, getting hard on that quite awkward curb on the outside there. But Centro retaining the position, so good battling from those two guys. AJ really trying to put the pressure on, and I'm trying to remember whether that was AJ being passed or whether I think he might have been passed actually, because I feel like Centro was behind before. So yeah, that was actually Centro passing AJ. AJ trying to pressure him back though. Centro for slightly defensive through that corner there, and now into the carousel. I checked the name, it's the carousel. Very tricky right-hander, but one that you can gain a lot of time through, depending on the line you take. It's really hard but important to nail the line through there, get a good exit through the flat out kink, or is it flat out in these cars? I can't quite remember. It's flat out in some cars. Oh, and AJ very out on the curb, a bit on the grass there as well, definitely losing some momentum, and might be put under pressure now from Pedro, who is very close behind. Oh, I think we got AJ in the pits actually. Yeah, AJ is in the pits after only 9 laps in the race. 20 to go, so that's a very early pit stop. I haven't seen him get any damage. And I can't inspect his car either down the when he's in the pits because of my camera bug. But
I can't see any damage on his car.
That might just be a scheduled picture. Maybe just because maybe he knows he's gonna have to pit at some point for fresh tires in the race. So maybe he's just trying to gamble on doing it a bit early to get out of the battle he was in, because he was surrounded by a couple of cars that was really pressuring him. At least now he might get some clear air to focus purely on lap times and maybe for him in sometimes while the other guys keep battling. But that remains to be seen. Of course, we expect, as usual, we expect everyone to do a pit stop, but it's not always they do.
Yeah. It's still quite a long way to go though. 20 laps at the moment for AJ. So we're not anywhere really near the halfway point where we'd start to expect people to be making pit stops. I just had a quick flick through the field there. Gronstra has dropped his teammate a little bit and started to close up onto the back of Nesterovic, who's currently in 13th place. There's a fair gap to Andrex in front of him. And then Tipple was actually closing up on towards the back of Andrex's teammate, Pedro, as they come down towards the final section of this lap. I'm just seeing some clouds starting to roll in from the distance as well. The weather did start off in clear weather conditions, and it's going to turn to heavier cloud is what we have forecast for the latter part of the race. What time was the race start, please?
12 p.m. in-game time.
12 p.m.
So there's not going to be any sunsets kicking in, unfortunately, and we're not expecting any rain either in this one, which may be a shame for us, but I think the drivers would probably be pleased with it, considering they had it for half of the race last time at Silverstone. So
it'll be interesting to see if Tip can actually pick up a slipstream here and close up onto the back of Pedro, possibly coming down this long back straight down towards the heavy braking zone of turn 3. It does look like he's getting relatively close. Tip was on the brakes a little bit later than Pedro was, but Pedro's gone a little bit slow there coming out through the exit of turn 3, and that's now allowed Tipple to get up alongside him for the turn 4. The left-hander there, both of them giving each other plenty of room and taking it fairly slow. It looks like that Pedro is going to slot in behind Tipple for the moment and just let Tipple go. And I believe Tipple was just doing a little flash of the lights there just to say thank you very much to Pedro for not really fighting that, as Tipple was obviously probably trying to work its way up through the field, and I think Pedro knows he doesn't really have the pace to try and hold Tipple off.
Back, Dinda of course was running in the top 3 in right at the start of the race until he spun off on lap 1. So he's on a bit of a comeback drive as well, even though he didn't drop quite down to the back of the field as some of the other guys have, and he's going to move to the inside now into turn 5. Turn 5, what am I saying? Turn 1 is going to dive very hard there as I try to find the proper camera when she finally lets me, and it's still side by side. Van der Bent getting the cutback there on the exit and down towards turn 2, another pretty heavy braking zone onto another long straight. So Martin Van der Bent getting left a room by Jinder. Good racing, still fighting hard. Jinder a little bit on the curb there, that's going to lose him momentum, and Martin Van der Bent for now is gonna hold on. Great defensive driving, but can he keep the Bentley behind in the slipstream down towards turn number 3? That's going to be tricky. He's going to have to move to the inside. He's done it quite early there just to let him know that's where his car is going to be. Jinder braking as late as he dares, but he's not close enough to get a position quite yet, especially when he rides the curb as hard as that. So Van der Bent showing his experience and defending well from Jinder in this battle, Yorkie.
Yeah, that's a very good defensive drive there by Martin. He didn't really cover the inside line for turn 1, but he got a nice switchback coming out of that first turn and down into turn 2. Was able to place his car very nicely on the inside of Dinder. Dinder's actually getting very close to the back of Martin Van der Bent there through the right-hander, the left-hander, sorry, before they're coming to this right-hander right here, the carousel. Very long corner, both of these cars. I imagine it'll be quite a struggle trying to get through. It looks like Dinder's S has got quite a nice switchback there on Martin Van der Bent and has managed to slip himself up into 6th position on the exit of that corner. Very nice move. Looked like Martin Van der Bent had a slightly better line there through that right-handed kink than Dinder just in front of him. But doesn't look like he's able to capitalise on that. It looks like that Dinder's probably got the slightly better car underneath him at the moment at this current stage in the race. But even still, Martin Van der Bent, I imagine, is very keen to try and hold on to the back of that Bentley in front of him and see if you can potentially try and use the slipstream coming down the start-finish straight which they will be on coming out of the exit of this turn here, and onto it now, as it actually looked like Dinder was a little bit deep there, run quite shy of the apex on the inside. Dinder moving over to the right now, moving back over to the left as well, trying to break the toe of Martin van der Bent, who's obviously very, very eager to try and pick up that slipstream, try and find that hole in the air behind Dinder's car as they come on the run down towards turn 1. Doesn't look like that Martin is going to be close enough to try and make the move into this first turn. Will he be able to get decent exit coming out of that first turn, running the car quite aggressively there on the exit as he tried to carry as much speed as possible. Now into turn 2, running a little bit deep there on the brakes. Able to bring it back quite nicely though on the exit, but I don't think he's going to be quite close enough. I don't think he quite has the speed to be able to really pressurize and threaten Dinder down these straights into these braking zones. They're pretty even in terms of braking, and same with cornering, but it looks like at the moment that Dinder's got a slightly better setup with running slightly lower downforces, is able to carry a little bit more speed down those straights.
Actually, I said turn 3 before, the very heavy braking zone. It is not, it is actually turn 5, because for some reason the straight between turns 1 and 2, let's call it 1 and 3, is actually called turn 2, the straight, for some reason. So that's
okay.
Good. And then the tiny kink between turn 3 and 5 is called turn 4. So there are some interesting corner number selections here in the US, but we just gonna have to deal with that one. Yeah, Van der Bent has rejoined from the pits down in 12th position. Not too far behind Nesterovic, actually. So he's going to be on fresh tyres and catching up to Nesterovic on more worn tyres. Nesterovic was, of course, also in the pits very, very early on in the race, but of course he will have had more time on these tyres he's on now to wear them out. And not far ahead of them is the new guy, the debutant Grönström, qualified on P3, had a mare somewhere in the first few laps, and he's now working his way back up. But I don't believe he has pitted yet, though. Well, obviously apart from the damage on the first lap. So remains to be seen whether he will go in or whether he's going to try to stretch it until the end of the race. Ooh, and Pedro, no, he's not in the pits.
Jellyfish is in the pits.
Oh, Macy's coming out of the pits.
Centro's in the pits. Maisie,
okay.
like you said, is just coming out of the pits. Pedro's just slipped ahead of him up into 6th position. And Ycoms has also pitted from 3rd position. He's now slipped back out into 5th, and Mini Black isn't too far up the road from him either. To be honest, it looks like a kind of similar gap to what
I think Ycoms put a gain on him
beforehand.
No, I think he's gained. I feel like Ycoms might have gained about a second or so. Just a little bit. Yeah, I swear there was like 3-4 seconds. It's definitely not more than 2 now.
Okay. Well,
so
I'm doing it by visual reference.
Yeah,
I don't have the deltas that you do, so it's more guesswork from me. But Dinder's got himself up into 3rd place. He obviously pitted earlier on, as I heard a crunch there from somebody ahead of Dinder, but I can't see who it was. So
Brownski was on position the car ahead, but yeah, he will not have pitted yet. Remains to be seen if he will. We know Brownski a few times this season has gone for the no-stop strategy, and with quite a good effect as well. We obviously at Spa, he finished 2nd after not stopping, and also in the season opener at Brno he finished on the podium after not stopping. So yeah, he might just try to pull that off again. In which case, it's going to be up to Mini Black and Ycoms on the fresher tires to try and close that gap. Brownski now out of turn number 1. So let's see. Oh, that's Kaki sliding. See where Mini Black is. He's just come
Dinder's
around.
in the pits.
There's a big gap. There's a big gap. Mini Black only hasn't even started the lap. So that's going to be a big gap. But yeah, let's see where Dinder's going to end up. I can find him. There we go.
I've got him. Probably behind Maisie. He's got Pedro for very close company behind him. Pedro is now actually coming out of the pits, although the camera's just jumped to Dinder. Both of those two drivers have just gone past Dinder, so who is the next person who's going to come past him? Grönström's just gone through. There goes Martin van der Bent. Martin van der Bent's going to manage to hold the position. He's got a nice, very nice undercut there on Dinder, and has kind of retaken the, I believe that's net 6th position that they were battling for beforehand.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
He has also passed Nostra on track, like you correctly just pointed out there as well. So very good strategy call there by Martin van der Bent. Hopefully you can hold that one off for the remainder of this race.
Yeah, indeed. Watching Pedro closing in on Maisie in the battle for 5th now. But, yeah, Pedro hasn't pitted, has he? No, he definitely has not.
No,
Down the field.
neither is Maisie.
Really? No, I swear Maisie pitted.
You sure?
I swear it did. Pretty sure. I'm about 72% sure of that.
I really need to get a notebook next season so we can just like write down and record who has pitted, who hasn't pitted, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And Gronstra, a man who hasn't pitted since lap 1 to fix his damage, he's up in 7th right now. He's gonna have his work cut out for him though to defend from Martin van der Bent on the fresher tyres. Sterovich as well, not in the best place considering he pitted very, very early as well for damage repairs. And Ginger is going to be right on him in just a lap or so, I would assume. Currently watching Ginger in 10th place. Going to be closing in very rapidly on Sterovich. Might even have a chance down this straight. Can get a good run through the kink here. And he doesn't seem to be lifting too much, a little bit on the curb on the exit, but using all of the track and getting very, very close in the slipstream off the rough. Will Nesterovic go defensive? A little bit he will, defending that inside line. And will he try to go around the outside? Is there gonna be enough traction in that Bentley? He's trying. Oh, penultimate corner, no, he backed out of it before they got there. It's probably a good move because it's gonna have another great opportunity down the main straight, of course. And he'd rather not slow them both down, but going side by side through those two corners there. Let's see if this Bentley power is enough to pull past before they get to turn 1. Definitely getting a lot. Nesterovic going defensive again, but Jinda's got the speed. Ooh, trying to find Nesterovic, and he's pulled out and dropped back behind him. So Jinja up to 9th position, and we will now be chasing after Martin van der Bent. Ooh, and there's a trio, because Pedro is being caught very, very quickly by Gronstra and Martin van der Bent in the battle for 6th position. All three on a little bit different strategies. Pedro has not pitted at all. Gronstra, who only pitted on lap 1, and Martin van der Bent, who pitted not very long ago. So I would say, tyre-wise, Van der Bent definitely in the best position, but he's also the man behind, and he's gonna have to try to make fast work of Gronstra. He's very good and opportunistic driving. Just the first opportunity he got, he took it all the way around. What? Oh, and he's been repassed there. Okay, that is. I thought he was making a great move there, but I actually ran by the grass.
Yeah, he got quite caught up on the curb on the exit there, and that just cost him all the traction that he needed to keep hold of. 7th position that would have been, and he saw Gronstra coming up on his left, and obviously we saw him dab the brake to make sure that there was no contact and the guys could follow him through. There's no real overtaking opportunity through that right-hander. It's very, very difficult as Gronstra goes and misses the apex there through that right-handed kink, which obviously would have cost him a little bit of speed. Martin van der Bent seemed to be carrying a pretty decent line through that right-hander, but Dinder, seeing this battle unfold in front of him, is obviously inspired and spurred on to push a little bit harder to try and close this gap back up to the back of Martin in front of him. See a little bit of sun starting to pick out through the clouds there, down that very, very short straight as they now come into the final turn. And then up the hill onto the start-finish straight. Yes, Gronstra does pit, so that has given Martin van der Bent a little bit of free air. Obviously paid quite nicely into his favour. Just kind of trying to pick up Martin van der Bent, but the camera is currently watching Dinder at the moment. There we go.
Dinder, Nesterovic, Larsson's as well, Gronstra's teammate. They both gained position because of Gronstra going in the pit. Same with Jellyfish. Will Gronstra lose anymore? Yeah, it's definitely going to lose out to AJ, potentially also Centro. So Gronstra, well, it's a late pit stop for him. So he might have been in the thought process of trying to go for a no stopper. Maybe his tire wear just got so bad that he just didn't feel like it was worth trying to push until the end of the race on those tires. Let's see. He's still in the pits. He's just rejoining the track now, and he's just been lapped there by the sliding Kaki, going through turn 1 in the lead. Oh yeah, Gronstra down to 14th, which probably a bit lower than he would have wanted, but well, still gonna score some points at least in his debut. But just actually before I tell you to say something, which you probably have some incredibly intelligent stuff to plan to say. Tipple, he obviously disappeared and went into pits with a lot of damage. Apparently his wheel disconnected and he flew into a wall at full speed. So that is what happened to him. Very, very unfortunate.
Yeah, that is a shame, and you just stole my very intelligent thing that I was about to say as well. I noticed that in the chat. I didn't actually have anything else other than that little announcement lined up, so cheers, Fizzy.
You're welcome. But yeah, I guess we're gonna then focus back. Oh, on the battles! Oh, Pedro getting caught very quickly by Jinder there. He got, I think he got on the curve there, and it's been passed straight away by Jinder. So yeah, Pedro has actually dropped behind Martin Van der Bent as well, so he's really struggling with those tires. Having not pitted yet is Pedro. It's not going to be long until he drops down to the 10th position he was in before everyone else pitted. So maybe for Pedro it's not quite working out to do the no-stopper. Let's check on Brownski though, the other man on that strategy right now. And let's see, he's coming down to what I believe is turn 8. Where is Miniblack? He's coming down to turn 5. So it's still a big gap between them. I mean, let's check the lap times. Yeah, Miniblack wasn't even a second faster. He was 7/10 faster. He needs to be a lot faster than that. Catch him, doesn't he?
Yes, he's only got best part of 8 laps to do it, so he hasn't got a lot of time, and it does seem like a very big gap. I don't think, unless Brownski has a major issue somewhere along the line, I don't think Mini Black is going to be able to close him up for second position in this race.
Brownski really is a master of pulling off the zero-stop strategies, isn't he? He's done it so many times this season and finished on the podium as a result of it. And this looks like it's going to be another similar story for him.
Yeah, I couldn't quite see him. Unfortunately, my camera had bugged out a little bit. It actually looks like Nesterovic is actually picking up a very nice slipstream now, coming down towards turn 5 into the braking zone. Both of them slamming on the brakes at pretty much the same time. Looks like Nesterovic has got the move done and dusted quite nicely. Pedro wasn't really able to fight that too much. I imagine his very worn tyres isn't providing him with a lot of grip, and thought it would obviously just be better to let Nesterovic go and take the position and really fight that one and risk any contact. Jumping up to Jinder up ahead, who is, like you said, still trying to close down Martin Van der Bent up ahead of him.
He's not doing it at the moment though. 2/10 slower on the previous lap.
On the previous lap, so he hasn't got too much time left. Good 6-7 laps left to go. Maisie's holding a very nice 5th position at the moment. He's looking quite nice and comfortable there, having a very nice run through that right-hander in his Ginetto now, coming out through the left and into the final turn now. Which means that as it stands at the moment, I believe Kaki will come ahead of TonyR and take second place. TonyR will finish in 3rd because Brownski isn't close enough to TonyR in terms of points. Brownski will probably finish in 4th. And then Mini Black should jump ahead of Nesterovic, I imagine.
Yes, he should, yeah. Definitely, if he keeps the 3rd place he's got now. He's 7 points behind Nesterovic before this race, in the battle for 5th in the championship. And with Nesterovic down in 8th at the moment, that is definitely going to be more than 7 points in favour of Mini Black to get in that position. So Jinder now is actually closed the gap to Martin Van der Bent, so it's a battle on for P6 in this final race of the season, with 5 laps to go. Jinder as forcing Martin to go defensive into turn 1 and then to apparently turn 3, and now down the straight was turn 5. So seeing Jinder pull off the move earlier in the race, but we also have seen Martin Van der Bent be a very good defensive driver early in the race, so this could be a very interesting battle actually. Aston Martin versus Jinder. Was it these guys who battled before as well when Martin was defending? I feel like it was.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So they already got some experience with each other. Let's see who comes on top this time. Wow, love that shot with Jinder's car jumping over the curve, gaining a little bit of air, and the flames spitting out from the sides at the same time. Looks so cool.
Yeah, it's very good. I believe Jinder's just currently biding his time at the moment. He's got a few laps left in which to try and make this move stick, and he's probably just trying to scope Martin out a little bit and just see where could potentially make a move. Obviously, he was doing so earlier in the first half of this race before the pit stops, but conditions have changed slightly. The Aston Martin might behave a little bit better than it did earlier in the race through some of these corners. And obviously, Linda is probably just back there, just watching the back of that Aston Martin, just trying to read the car, see if it could potentially pick up a place somewhere along the line, try and get a decent run. Looks like he's trying to open up the final turn very, very nicely. He was able to hook up the inside curb just that little bit tighter than Martin van der Bent as well. So actually come down to the start-finish straight now. Martin moving over to the right-hand side of the circuit to defend that inside line. He's going to try and force Dinter to go to the outside, who is going to try and make that move. He's going now into the braking zone. Who will be coming out on top? It looks like Dinter's maybe got the edge over Martin van der Bent. Has pulled off a very, very nice move there. Wow. Around the outside of Martin's Aston Martin. Wow, Martin's Aston Martin.
No, how we not caught on to this until now?
Yeah. It's suddenly clicked, but yeah, absolutely fantastic move there by Dinder. It's probably the best move that we've seen this race, I'd say.
Yeah, I would be surprised. Hard to remember all the moves that have happened, of course, but around the outside is always a good move, as Martin's getting very close to the back of him in the braking zone, but Dinder manages to get it turned in just in time. Martin not gaining good speed on the exit, actually. Will he risk it up the hill? No, he won't. That would have been an aggressive attempt if he did. So remains to be seen now then whether Martin will have the pace to try and challenge him back. I guess running similar lap times in the previous few laps, of course, but they have of course been battling at the same time, so you kind of expect that. They're running a little bit wide there, but he's going to cut back to get a good exit, I think. Out of the carousel there. Ooh, as Martin actually touches the grass a little bit as well. But we'll have the slipstream through the kink. And after the kink, more importantly. But wow, look at that. Dinder's car pulling ahead through the kink there. I think he just had a bit more turn in. Maybe a bit more tires? No, I think they both pit that the same ish.
Martin van der Bent did perform the undercut. I believe he pitted a lap or two earlier than Dinder and was able to retake the position back. So Martin will be on slightly older tyres as Dinder actually goes very, very deep there into the final turn. This is going to give Martin van der Bent a very good run, and actually now pretty much side by side. A little bit of contact there between the two drivers as they come up the hill now across the start-finish line. Both of them getting very, very close. Dinder is wanting to squeeze Martin as far left as possible to try and open up this first turn for himself, but Martin is just kind of holding his ground there on the outside. Will Martin be able to go around the outside through turn one, running the curve very aggressively on the exit? They're very, very close to making contact once again as they come out of that turn. Now into turn three. Apparently it looked like Dinder S there, losing the rear end of his car slightly. My throat's going a little bit funny now as they come down this back straight down towards turn 4 and then the braking zone at turn 5.
Jesus, that is amazing battling, and Dinder somehow still ahead. Oh, and Martin van der Bent is going to have a go on the brakes down towards turn 5. Dinder leaving him room once again and gets the momentum on the exit, but van der Bent very, very close to his rear bumper there, and once again has to slot in behind here. So this is going to go all the way to the end, I think. It's only a lap and a half for these guys to keep battling, so if Van der Bent can get the move back on the main straight, as these guys have swapped for the past couple of laps now, then he will head into the final lap, but it remains to be seen how close he can stay. Then this lap, of course, that is the main thing he needs to worry about for now. Very interesting to see the different lines there as well. Dinder going a lot wider on the entry through the carousel and cutting back on the exit, whereas Van der Bent going a lot tighter and just taking the whole corner quite tight, actually. They seem to be going through it at pretty much the same pace, but once again, this stage of the lap, the Bentley just pulling a little bit of a gap. It remains to be seen now if Martin van der Bent can do what he did before and pull the time back in the last few corners to get another run down the main straight, as actually they have 2 laps to go because Kaki is the man who is on the penultimate lap. They will be starting their penultimate lap right about in a few seconds. Can Van der Bent get close enough? But once again, Dündar hasn't had the best exit. Van der Bent, of course, was a lot closer on the previous lap. But he's going to have a good slipstream here. Dündar being a little bit Lewis Hamilton-esque in his weaving there. But defending the inside line now, picking it. Ooh, and actually cutting slightly back across on Martin. But Martin didn't actually have any of his car ahead, but he's going to get a much better exit here. But actually couldn't take advantage there, Yoki. So, man, these guys are really, really going at it. And I'm just looking quickly at the time. Wait, Ycoms has dropped to 5th. Quick check,
yes,
yeah, Ycoms is behind Maisie. How's that happened?
I'm not entirely sure. It looks like that Ycoms has actually got a lot of damage to the front of his
does,
SLS as well. So possibly a spin and a collision with a wall somewhere along the line is going to drop him down behind the Ginetta. Quickly just hopping back to Dündar and Martin. At the moment, Dindar's still currently holding Martin off just about. I thought that Martin was going to potentially be able to have a fairly decent run coming down towards turn 3 and try and, you know, force Dündar off the apex a little bit to try and see if he can get himself a good run to come down the back straight there, but I wasn't quite able to be pulled off. I actually see, yeah, like I say, Ycoms down in 5th, Maisie in 4th, just picking up Mini Black now. He comes through, Brownski's going down the start-finish straight, and now Karki's actually on his way down towards turn 5, so there's not a lot of time for these drivers. Pretty much a lap and a bit. Martin van der Bent looking a little bit further off the back of Dindar's car than he has done on the previous couple of laps, but Dündar there running a little bit wide through that right-hander would have allowed Martin van der Bent to close up by a car length or 2. Hopefully Martin will be able to continue to close that gap a little bit more coming through these final sequence of turns to see if he can potentially try and pick up the slipstream to come down the start-finish straight and try and make a move, but it doesn't look like he's anywhere near as close as he was in the last couple of laps. And it looks like that at the moment Dündar is going to be able to hold on to this 6th position unless he makes a mistake in the braking zones of these next couple of corners. So getting a little bit of lag there from Dündar, and Dündar actually running out pretty wide there through turn 1. Same with Martin van der Bent, both of them taking the curve very, very aggressively. Now on the turn 3, as we've got a very, very slow M3 to the right hand side of the track there, just getting well out of the way of the guys in front who are currently lapping him. And it actually looked like that Ycoms is driving off the back of Maisie pretty rapidly here and starting to come towards Dündar. I don't think Dindar's going to be quite close enough to make a move on this final lap, but yeah, that gap is
wins.
Getting smaller.
He's coming across the line now to win the final race of the season. He was uncontested really all the race. A very dominant drive from him, taking pole and the win here. And I would assume also the fast lap, setting a 1:2:03.9 on the final lap there, just to rub it in. And Brownski pulling off the one-stopper, the zero-stopper even, in 2nd place there. Super impressive from him as well. Mini Black never had a chance in the end to catch him, neither had Ycoms. Those are the two drivers that he jumped in the pits, or by not pitting. Whereas Mini Black and Ycoms did. And Ycoms, of course, then dropping another position with an incident somewhere to Maisie, who's going to have his best result this season. And what is funny?
Browski was doing a little bit of a wiggle across the start-finish line, and the car got very sideways and tapped the wall. You said what is funny as if you were about to tell me off there, Fizzy. I got a little bit worried.
No, I would never tell you off. Granstra has actually passed Centro recently, because he was behind not too long ago, so he's up to 12th on his debut, with his teammate Claessen's ahead of him though. So Claessen's going to win that teammate duel of the debutants here. Road America going to finish 11th place. And, ooh, Pedro only a couple of seconds ahead actually. Pedro's dropped all the way down to, I believe that's going to be 11th for him in the race. Jellyfish says 11th right now. I believe that's going to be, ooh, he's very close behind Nesterovic.
Yeah.
Wow. He really caught in on Nesterovic. It nearly did a few more laps and it would have been a battle, I'm pretty sure. But as it turns out, it is not. Andrex is already finished, a lap down. Pedro coming over the line now, I believe. Once he crosses it, he will be dropping to, or going up to P11 or P10 even. He's in P10. Claessen's 11th. Bronstra is going to be 12th.
Yep.
There we go. That's the M3s having some bands out of them. Central 13th. And then I believe the remaining cars have all been lapped, unless I'm mistaken. Yep. So Silverado 14th, Andrex 15th. And then, oh, Wise Guy. Wise Guy's AI driver having some battles with one of the new boys on the in-lap there. But he's going to pick up the final points position in the race, of course. Nostra, TonyR, neither of them finished the race. Same can be said for Tipple, who had his wheel failure, and also the championship winner, of course. We can't remember F1 Master in all this, even though we didn't really see him out on track today. But he's, of course, the champion of this season. But on the day, though, it was Kaki who was the man. Brownski, I mean, like joining him on the podium. So, Yoki, say something intelligent while I try to figure out how this affects the championship.
Oh god, you put me on the spot quite heavily.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was a pretty good race. There was a few gaps did develop between a number of drivers, but we did have the odd few battles here and there. It was a shame with the contact at the start of the race. It would have been good to have seen the guys try and pick and work their way up through the field. Currently just flicking through the drivers as they're on their in-lap back towards the pit lane. Very good to see Maisie getting 4th place in the Ginetta.
Yeah.
Fantastic result for him.
By far his best of the season.
Yeah, definitely an absolutely fantastic result there. Certainly not the kind of result that you would have expected from the Ginetta, especially considering some of the competition that he had up in front of him with some of the cars with their very big engines, and this circuit being pretty much a power circuit.
But what we can say, of course, F1 Master, the reigning champion, becomes the current champion once again. 3 times champion for the league, the Finnish alien. He's going to be win by a pretty big gap. Yeah, I'm not going to work that one out on the fly, but Kaki does indeed jump TonyR, who unfortunately retired at the start, for 2nd place. So Kaki, with a win, gets 2nd in the championship ahead of TonyR, who retains 3rd, even though Brownski with his 2nd place got actually quite close. He never had a chance going into the race to actually catch him, but he's only 8 points behind, I believe, on the final table, with his 2nd place here today. Sterovic, as we mentioned before, he's going to be jumped by Mini Black for 5th in the championship, with Mini Black also finishing on the podium. Then Papand, who was not here today, he's going to be jumped by Dinda. And I believe Jellyfish as well, so Dinda's going to be 7th, Jellyfish 8th. And then Papan, I think, is going to hold on to 9th, with Tipple, who also had the chance to pass Papan. I was on course for it until his wheel failure. Unfortunately, because of that, will drop down to 10th in the final championship. Unless Ycoms actually is an interesting one. He finished 5th in this race. Anything else to say? Not sure. Oh, actually, yeah, I've been reminded in chat. I mentioned on the forum that maybe we should debut some interviews, but I think most of the people have left the TeamSpeak. Certainly the championship winner has, Masa.
We'll save
no idea whether he'll be up for an interview anyway, but... Do we want to pull some people in there?
I say save it for next season.
Yeah, okay,
Give the guys something good to come back for at the end of the races.
Alright, that'll be a new feature then for next season, hopefully. Some driver interviews maybe after the races. So you can get to know the drivers a bit more.
One last thing.
Oh, god damn it. I was about to pull off an almighty outro.
Sorry, I was going to say one last thing. Obviously, a very, very big thank you to Project Cars and the guys over at Slightly Mad Studios for the affiliation and the official league support from them. It's it was a very, very nice reward for all the hard work that all the coordinators do across the Project Cars leagues. Obviously not just myself and Fizzy, but also the guys who run the console side of things. Quite a few people running the scenes, and of course Fizzy as well, the king of AOR, the owner. He obviously deserves a very big round of applause as well. So thank you very much to you, sir. Nice little round of applause there.
Yeah, for myself, because there's no one else here to give an applause. So
you can now sign off.
Yeah, okay. Signing off. Thanks you all. It's been a great season, and we will be back for season 5 when the time is right. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, and we will see you then. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.